Man, I really got to get around to fixing that intro. That has not been updated in a really long time. We got a whole new presidency and everything. Hey, how's it going? Welcome to the studio. I'm John Iadarola. This is still sort of the damage report. And so we're gonna launch into a new week. We're gonna start it off hopefully on the right foot, and that foot is fantastic. Francesca returns. How's it going, Francesca?
Just another manic Monday. Oh, everybody, I wish it was Sunday. Why Sunday? Cause that's when the Bitchuation room happens. Already plugging my stuff.
Man, you get a cat in the room with her and her mood just shoots through the roof. You've got a cat within arm's reach, right?
Yes, I'm stroking it under the table, sort of like, Dr. Claw in Inspector Gadget.
Little bit creepy, but that's awesome. I wish that I had a dog with me right now. Anyway, glad to have you here because we've got a bojillion stories to get to. A lot happening over the weekend. Some important updates on things we were talking about at the close of last week that remain important despite a new week coming. Isn't that novel in the news? But in addition to that, we also had CPAC. So, I mean, what do you want? What do you want? Sure, we just won't talk about it at all. We just won't do anything. Is that what you want? You think you want that?
You're going full Cuomo on us, John. Don't go Cuomo on it.
Sorry,
what do you want?
Well, we'll be talking about Cuomo, oddly enough, and then just a million other things. A lot of really interesting stuff. And wanted to give you an early heads up. We'll be talking more about why this is our particular top 10 list for this week. But this week's top 10 list for our YouTube tier 2 and tier 3 members is going to be the top 10 most likely Republican 2024 presidential nominees, assuming no Trump. So there's no Trump in this. He doesn't get to be in it. Other people. So we'll be talking about that a little bit later on. It should be fun. And to those of you who are already here, thank you very much for watching the show. Please hit the like button and share the stream if you haven't already, so that people know that we're live. And as we go through all these stories, you can send us tweets and comments and super chats and all that, questions or comments or concerns, or sometimes a combination of all three, and we will respond as we go through. But before we do that, Francesca, you ready to do this?
Yes.
You look ready. Okay, in that case, let's do it. We're gonna start it off on a foot few might have expected we would. Right now is a big time for unionization efforts, including some of the largest corporations in the history of humanity facing unionization as we speak right now. So when the new president decides to weigh in on this, it's obviously noteworthy, especially when he seems to have the right position. Take a look at this video of President Biden.
I've made it clear when I was running that my administration's policy would be to support unions organizing and the right to collectively bargain. I'm keeping that promise. You should all remember, the National Labor Relations Act didn't just say that unions are allowed to exist. It said that we should encourage unions. So let me be really clear. It's not up to me to decide whether anyone should join a union. But let me be even more clear. It's not up to an employer to decide that either. The choice to join a union is up to the workers, full stop, full stop. Today and over the next few days and weeks, workers in Alabama and all across America are voting on whether to organize a union in their workplace. This is vitally important, a vitally important choice as America grapples with the deadly pandemic, the economic crisis, and the reckoning on race. What it reveals the deep disparities that still exist in our country. And there should be no intimidation, no coercion, no threats, no anti-union propaganda. No supervisor should confront employees about their union preferences. You know, every worker should have a free and fair choice to join a union. The law guarantees that choice. And it's your right, not that of an employer. It's your right. No employer can take that right away. So make your voice heard.
Francesca, what do you think?
Not bad. Lighting pretty bad. Messaging I'm gonna go with an A- here. I mean, he all but said Amazon. I think he should have just said Amazon and spoke about it, which sort of distinguishes him, I think, from if we had a Bernie Sanders presidency. Bernie Sanders already sent pizza over to the union, the workers in Alabama trying to unionize, which is what Biden is referencing right now, the workers in Bessemer, Alabama. But I think it's important not only that he said that no employer has the right to tell a worker whether or not they should unionize, but then he was very specific about the kinds of literature, the kinds of anti-union campaigns, which is like, they're not gonna stop because Biden said that and like shook his finger. But I do think it sends a very strong message that he's clearly on the side of the workers on this one. And I think that he and Kamala Harris should do more.
Yeah, and I think, look, so I'm mainly gonna be positive in regards to this. I would say that maybe I'll start off with the negative, which is all very good. Good remarks, love the content. Delivery was a B-ish, maybe, but anyway, it's Biden. It was a very Biden sort of thing. Even though like the way, like it felt like my grandfather was like giving me a serious talk. Like it really felt like that. So that's the Biden sort of thing. Now, on the other hand, let's also bear in mind, Biden, that you are the president of the United States. So when they do these things, you can get involved. Now I know he's getting involved. I'm saying there are other ways. Maybe keep those in your back pocket. Maybe you can deploy the DOJ to protect these rights and all of that. So, look, I know some people will have no interest in this. Some people will be suspicious of this. Totally get it, especially when you put it in the context of some of the other policies that we've been talking about recently, and we'll talk about later in the show. That would be incredibly beneficial to the working class, like a raise to the minimum wage. Him giving this speech is not. It's not like, okay, maybe we don't get the minimum wage, but we got the speech, so we're even. Not even close. It's not 1,000th of it, but this is about as pro-unionization a speech as I have seen from a sitting president, and from the little bit of research that I've done, as there has been for some time. And arguably, he could not really go further than this in encouraging unionization without potentially running afoul of labor law. He can't literally say, hey, y'all at Amazon, you should unionize. He apparently can't do that.
Sure.
But he got as close.
We're still abiding by laws. We're still doing that. Are we still? After Trump,
when violating the law would benefit the working class, yes, we're abiding by laws.
Yeah, exactly.
But nobody finishes watching that video and thinks that he doesn't think that you should probably unionize. Like, I think it's pretty clear. And also, as you pointed out, why didn't he just say Amazon? You're literally saying the state where it's happening. Why not say the corporation it's happening to?
You just said maybe that's illegal if he named it. I think it's maybe. What I do think is pretty amazing is I'm sure there are a lot of people who didn't know that this was going on. I was speaking with the reporter Kim Kelly, who's been writing amazing and covering this story for Teen Vogue and elsewhere. And I don't think it's really on the national scale. I mean, I haven't seen it on mainstream news, right? I don't clearly, whenever there's a fight with like working class people, and this is a very much a Black-led, women-led movement right there in Alabama, you don't really hear a lot about it, right? We're more interested in sort of gaming out the future of the Republican Party, which, granted, fascinating. But I think that he put it on the map, and that's a signal. That's good, and I hope this struggle gets more coverage no matter what happens.
Yes.
But we'll see. I don't think this is an administration that's gonna step to Amazon's power, but we can pressure. We can keep the pressure on. Yeah, and look, he could have not done this. It would have been very easy. No president really does. Like, we were very critical of Obama, who was like in advance. It was like, when there's a picket line, I'm gonna get myself some comfy shoes and I'm gonna be walking that picket line. And then as president, can't find the shoes. So like, this is more shoe than we got with Obama in 8 years. This is at least half of an old foot in a granddad slipper. Like, that's something. But we will see. There's a lot more that hypothetically he could do. And there definitely should be more attention. I would love it if like next Sunday, John Oliver did his thing on the Amazon strikes. I think that'd be great. But anyway, I won't force Francesca to listen to any more about him. So anyway,
because last night was great about police raids. Anyway, I did want to just read one comment. It was awesome, really good. I want to read a comment from the president of the RWDSU, who's putting together that particular strike. Stuart Applebaum, who said, as President Biden points out, the best way for working people to protect themselves and their families is by organizing into unions. And that is why so many working women and men are fighting for a union at the Amazon facility in Bessemer, Alabama. And bear in mind, in terms of what he was talking about what, the propaganda or the striking back, like Amazon is doing some stuff that is both way more aggressive than I had expected, but also like pettier than I had expected.
Yeah.
So let's see. They're inundating their workers with text messages. They have worksite posters warning of the downsides of unionization. I can't believe they can even do that. Last week, workers spotted anti-union ads running on Twitch, although Twitch withdrew the ads once their existence was made public. What do you mean when they were made public? It's an ad. It is public. That's the only thing that makes it what it is. But anyway, in another incident, Amazon worked with county officials to alter the timing of a stoplight near the warehouse, making it harder for organizers to approach workers as they left the site, which is madness. So anyway, good to give the speech. Now let's see if you actually, if necessary, deploy the DOJ to actually protect the right of those workers, both in Alabama and in theory, were it to spread nationwide in all of the other places where it's gonna happen.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. Look, I think that there is the PRO Act, which it would greatly help unionization in this country, that passed Congress or passed the House, and it needs to pass the Senate. I don't know if it's going to pass in this climate, but hey, we do have the #1, that's the vice president once again. So why not try and get the PRO Act passed? Why not name it by name? And I think what's really important about Biden coming out on the side of unions is also the ways that, here in California, we have an incredibly increasingly race to the bottom, precarious workforce, people who are driving for Uber or for DoorDash and all of these app companies, right? And we're in a democratic state. We have Governor Newsom, right? I mean, we got the Batman himself, Playboy Batman himself, trying to be a hero. Call him out, man. Be like, look, this is what Democrats do. Democrats are on the side of the working class, that is, we're on the side of unions, we're pro-union. Like, if the Senate and the Supreme Court have been steadily making, basically retracting union rights over the last few decades, we have the executive branch to at least on a messaging and on a moral level put that forward, which I think is not nothing. It does matter.
Yeah, really fast last point, that act that you mentioned, so that's passed the House?
I think last year, yeah, I'm reading it passed the House last year.
And so the Senate would, I'm assuming, not pass it, unless you were to get rid of the filibuster. So we can add that to the list of things that Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin value: the tradition of the filibuster more than your rights to organize in terms of labor and exercise your labor power. At some point, we're gonna make the whiteboard, and I will leave it up in back of me as long as it takes to shame the unshameable. Anyway, no, we'll mostly just do it to have a little bit of fun. But anyway, okay, so we've got a lot of other news to get to. We're gonna just quickly read a little bit of the updates from what's going on out there. Thank you, first of all, to John Jackson and Matt Miro for becoming tier 2 members and getting access to our past top 10 lists, including the one that's coming up today. Tina says Ted Cruz is a Texas trash panda. I like trash pandas, so I don't like the comparison. But then I also like possums, and yet we talk about how he's got a dead one on his face. So I don't know, mixed messages. Chase Essex says, yay, Frantifa. Hey, Francesca, what are the odds of getting your Patreon fart song as a ringtone? I would never have my phone on silent again. What is this?
Oh God, John, you gotta be back on the show. Oh, it's just a fart song that I play underneath thanking all the patrons, and it's available for free because it's open source. It's Kevin MacLeod. Look him up.
Awesome, cool. Sea Salt Chip says emoji of Francesca's cat when. That would be adorable.
Oh my God.
Yes. Pete from Oakland says, Franny, TBR last night was hilarious. Barron was a fantastic guest. John, I need to thank you again for your advocacy and compassion for the trans and LGBTQ+ community. #solidarity. Thank you, Pete. I appreciate that. Katya says, thanks for another fantastic Monday. Really love the energy between the two of you. Would like to claim happy feet dragon if not taken. I love that. You can very gladly take that. Thank you to Obi-Wan Kenobi for gifting subs over on Twitch. Very nice of you. Keenan subscribed for the 3rd month and says, hi John, hi Fran. Happy birthday, Brett. Does everyone know?
Yeah.
Does everyone know that it's Brett's Day? It's Brett's Tober. It's Brett's Giving.
How long does Brett's Giving? Brett's Giving is my fave.
Exactly. Yeah, no, it's his birthday today. He's got the day off. Don't know what he's doing, but I imagine it involves the beach, a long walk, and copious amounts of alcohol, I would assume. So, well earned. Happy birthday, Brett. Please try to recover from what is going to be an epic hangover by Friday, because we still need you there. Anyway, let's see. So Keenan had said, much love to you, the Bitchuation Room, happy half hour, and the best show on TYT, the Damage Report. Love you too, Anna, Jordan, Jenkins, JR. Thank you. Well, the Jordan got a shout out in there. Nice. Aromi says, subscribe for 7 months. This is TYT, take my Bezos bucks. TDR has given me hope for the past year of downturn after downturn. And I don't know what I would have done without you. Thank you for that. And there are many more besides. Oh, I want to read this one last comment from Luddite who says, do you think Amazon will pull a Kroger and like magically find a reason to close most of the Alabama locations? Maybe, yeah, Francesca, I don't know if you're familiar with that. The 2 Krogers that shut down in California and I think Huntington Beach when they unionized, they just closed both the stores.
I mean, that's why we need something like the PRO Act. That's why we need more protections, or like you're saying, the DOJ. Like that's illegal. You can't do that, right? And this is the entire problem of the invisible hand of the free market is just a big, middle finger to all the working class, because it's just, and people around the world, because it's a mafia ring of, oh, you won't lay out the red carpet for me with tax breaks, and oh, your workers won't be pliable and enough for me. Oh, your workers want another bathroom break, we're going elsewhere. Oh, your workers don't like that, we're gonna leave the country, right? This is the fake populist BS that Trump never understood, was that it isn't about it's not about China, it's not about other countries, it's about your damn corporate greed.
Yeah, exactly. Why did he ever march at a picket line? I mean, that's a stupid question. Of course he didn't, but have any of these populist right wingers?
No.
Ever?
No.
Tucker Carlson hates the ruling elites and all these corporations.
Yep.
Is he out there in his boat shoes? No.
Right, which is why this is go there. Vice President Kamala Harris needs to go to Bessemer. Go there. What message would that send? How incredible would that be? Why not?
That might be illegal. I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe it's illegal. I don't know. But I know.
Don't you?
The rules shouldn't count. I get it. Anyway, fine. I will look into it. Except that I probably won't. Okay, but with that, we do jump back in the news because we got a ton to get to. So let's jump back into this. Apologies in advance for those of you who might not want this, who might have. The long vacation is at an end as we launch into this. Donald Trump was the keynote address at CPAC, and he had a lot to say. And normally what we would do and have done in past years is show you a bunch of the speech all clipped up into a million different things. We're gonna mostly keep it to one video of a mashup of a few important comments for us to comment on. Suffice to say, it's basically what you would have expected it was gonna be. And here it is.
Do you miss me yet? Do you miss me yet? We went through a journey like nobody else. There's never been a journey like it. There's never been a journey so successful. We began it together 4 years ago, and it is far from being over. We're not starting new parties. They kept saying, he's going to start a brand new party. We have the Republican Party. It's going to unite and be stronger than ever before. I am not starting a new party. Instead of attacking me, and more importantly, the voters of our movement, top establishment Republicans in Washington should be spending their energy in opposing Biden, Pelosi, Schumer, and the Democrats. Grandstanders like Mitt Romney, Little Ben Sass, Richard Burr, Bill Cassidy, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, Pat Toomey. And in the House, Tom Rice, South Carolina, Adam Kinzinger, Dan Newhouse, Anthony Gonzalez, that's another beauty, Fred Upton, Jamie Herrera Butler, Peter Meyer, John Katko, David Valadeo, and of course the warmonger, a person that loves seeing our troops fighting, Liz Cheney. How about that? And that's why I'm announcing that I will be actively working to elect strong, tough, and smart Republican leaders. We will take back the House. We will win the Senate. And then a Republican president will make a triumphant return to the White House. And I wonder who that will be.
Okay, so the speech was 90 minutes long, so we cut it down a lot. You're welcome. But anyway, it wasn't, I thought it would be 3 hours. He kept himself to a tight 90. The only thing about it on the site. Anyway, okay, so there was a lot there. A few different things that I want to comment. It was totally gross.
Why?
Francesca, take it away. What do you think? Put the camera on Francesca after I said that. Leave it on her.
What do the warmonger Cheney, like that is some.
I mean, he's not wrong.
Yeah, he's not wrong about warmongering. I mean, warmongering runs in the Cheney family. It also runs in the Trump family, right? Like these are the ways that the Democrats do not capitalize on their clearly like open, like provable hypocrisy of Trump. Guys, I still hate him. Oh my God, isn't that weird? I felt like maybe I would hate him less. I hate him more. But it's pretty significant. The cat is coming on the table. It's pretty significant that he's calling out all of these different Republicans. And the other thing that he said was that he's not going to run third party. That he's going to that's stupid. And so damn, trapdoor averted. But also it means that his party that Republicans are gonna have to full-throatedly embrace and loudly pronounce that they're okay with insurrectionists, white nationalists, militia organizations being the Republican Party now. And that kind of violence is okay for them. So we will see.
Yeah, I actually, I had a different reaction to you. When I saw it, I hate him more than I've ever hated anybody in my life. Like I freely admit that. I'm not trying to be objective or whatever. But he doesn't have direct political power now. And I find that actually makes me a lot more comfortable. Like, I hate everything that he said there, especially one thing that we're gonna show you in just a little bit. But yeah, I like it better when he doesn't have that power.
Right?
I do. Now, we want to point out a couple things that he said. So some stuff wasn't included in that, including him begging for money. So that was fun. He did talk about caravans again. He listed his successful policies, like developing the vaccine, which I'm sure he was like playing with beakers and everything.
Yep.
No, you sent some of our tax money to those corporations, which is good. I'm glad that you did that. But literally everyone in the country would have done that if they were in your position. So no credit there. But anyway, he also said, we're on a journey. You've never known a journey so successful. Well, like arguably there have been presidential journeys where they got reelected to a second term. Like I've read about those in history books, it's happened. But as you point out, saying that he's not starting a new party is a very important update. By the way, him saying that he's not starting the party does not mean that he's not gonna start the party, but it makes it less likely. And that is important because as Francesca sort of alluded to, if he did that, that would be it. I mean, as long as it exists, you would not have Republicans winning nationally. That's just a factor of he's popular enough and the system is what it is. If you set up, your supposedly more pure version, good. And now the other party can't win. You also will not win, but the other party can't win. So it's unfortunate that he's not gonna do that. And then also, let's not bear in mind, like he harbors personal vendettas like other people have pets. He has vendettas. He listed every Republican that voted to impeach him.
Yeah.
Now, he didn't know most of the names. If there hadn't been a teleprompter in front of him, he wouldn't have been able to say them. You could see him squinting. But he stood in his first speech and just listed the bad Republicans that he will never forgive. And probably nothing will happen, but if I was one of those Republicans, would I be a little bit worried about one of his crazed cultists coming at me? Probably. I'd probably be a little bit concerned about that. So that's fun. Fun to have him back.
I agree with you that he is not relevant, obviously, because he's out of power. But when you watch him speak, and when you know that like Fox News and Newsmax and every other place, OAN, and every other bizarre random blog that is streaming this live into people's ids, that the anger we feel by being gaslit, the anger I feel about him openly lying, the anger I feel about all of his race baiting, him playing the old hits about walls and rapists and drug dealers, etc. Like, it is terrifying. It's still terrifying to know that people want to inject that right into their veins, that people are ready for that. It is very clanny. It is very creepy. And if we don't have a media that refuses to play that stuff or refuses to fact check him or refuses to turn the camera away or refuses to like pull back from that, then it just felt like, oh, like you watch it and you realize the feeling you get of anger, of feeling like the last 4 years meant nothing, that the last year, the 500,000 deaths have meant nothing, the epic failures have meant nothing, the endless lawsuits, the corruption, the leaning on the Georgia lawmakers, all of that meant nothing. In their brains, it didn't. In their brains, deleted, like it is gone, nothing. And like, so it made me feel it is more a directive for Democrats. You need to make sure every day people remember, people understand Trump lost, Trump was corrupt, Trump has lawsuits flying at him very, very fast right now. And that we will not be that president for all these reasons. We condemn white nationalism, white supremacy. Here's what we're doing about it. He's a fake populist. Here's how we're actually going to help the working class. Like, it is just it's a roadmap for the ideas that Democrats need to put at the forefront in order to prevent a reconstituted or a better Trump or Trump himself from coming back to the White House.
Yeah, there's two aspects of what you said that I want to say just a little bit more. The knowing that they would love some of the just disgusting, vile stuff he said. We're gonna have one more video clip in just a bit about that. But obviously the big lie was definitely present in Trump's CPAC speech. We're not gonna focus too much on it. I don't even wanna show you video of it because you've seen the lies before. I will read just a quick summary of a few of the things that he said and understand that every one of these lines got applause. Right-wing media, including Fox and Friends, is loving all of this. But he said, the election was rigged. The Supreme Court didn't have the guts or the courage to do anything about it. They chanted, you won, you won. And he said, it's undeniable that election rules were illegally changed. Yes, undeniable, except by, 50 judges. They found a way to deny it. But yeah, so the big lie is just the accepted wisdom. It's 100% true. He won, he obviously won. The other side knows nobody knows better that the other side knows he won. And yeah, it's just like, I don't understand. They're so proud of him in his loss. All he was supposed to do was deliver winning. So much winning, you'd get sick of it. He couldn't even do the sick of it thing. And they love it. Everyone in that room loved him with certain limitations, which we'll get to in a bit. But just that's it. Democrats will never win an actual election legitimately from their point of view. And that is not just a rhetorical thing. In my pre-show, I talked about some of the rhetoric over the last 2 decades about whether elections were legitimate. He has got tons of people who are ready to enact political violence on their foes because of the lies that they believe. So it couldn't be more serious.
And obviously all of the ways that Republican lawmakers are like, whether or not they believe the big lie, hey, it's an excuse to further suppress the vote. Let's do it. And are, trotting out a bunch of voter suppression laws around the country. So
yeah. And we're gonna keep covering it on the pre-show. I think on Friday we talked about one, I believe in Iowa, And it was little things like the early voting period, they cut it from, and it's going to the governor. The governor says that she'll sign it. She might have already over the weekend. They were cutting the early voting period from 29 days down to 20 for voter security. What is that? How is that more secure? I don't know, neither do they, because that ain't the goal. They just want less people to vote. They cut on election day, they had the polls close 1 hour earlier. For security, probably, not just to stop people from voting. And all of this is tied together. Oh my God, and I worry that, like, I know there's some good Democrats, including activists and activist groups that are really focused on voting rights and all of that. I wonder, will Congress, will Biden, will they allow the filibuster to continue, knowing that it will stop literally any law designed to protect voting rights from passing in the next 4 years? And we sort of know the answer to that. And so Trump's speech, which is setting up what Francesca was talking about, endless laws across the country to stop people from voting, and Democrats who seem to acknowledge that that's happening, but are willing to do literally nothing to stop it, that makes the speech incredibly scary, because we can see how it plays out politically across the country over the next half decade. Anyway, why don't we move to the one issue area that I want to focus on. When it comes to vile rhetoric, the right has really coalesced around, we think we can still attack the trans community and get away with it.
Yeah.
And so it's a big applause line for them. Right-wing media, like podcasts, you I think contractually can't go 30 minutes without attacking the trans community if you're a right-winger. And even Trump, who supposedly, in the past, tried to claim that he was one of the Republicans that the LGBTQ community would be big fans of and all that. Take a look at this.
But we're getting better. No, I think it's crazy. I think it's just crazy what's happening. We must protect the integrity of women's sports. So important. After. Is that controversial? You know, somebody said, well, that's going to be very controversial. I said, that's okay. You haven't heard anything yet.
Okay, so if you don't follow a lot of right-wing media, you may not know what that whole thing was about, but that is just, they're attacking trans women. And they pretend that it's about women's rights. They pretend that they care at all women's sports. And I'm very glad that the video covered what it did, because you needed to show that not only did he say the line, and did he get applause, a significant percentage of that entire room stood up to applaud. Yes, I care about women's field hockey. That's what I care about. It's not about demonizing the trans community at all. I just feel like we need to protect those sports. It was a stand up and cheer line for the right now. And then he said, oh, is that controversial? You haven't heard nothing yet. So what is coming then? Like if him saying that we need to attack these people, young trans people who are already experiencing unthinkable stress and pressure and difficulties, it's an applause line to him. And he's got more coming that the right is sure to love as he demonizes this community.
Yeah, I mean, let's see how pro women's sports they are when like women's basketball and hey, women's American football leagues want to get televised on Monday nights. Let's do it. Hey, let's support all this. No, then you're not supporting the man enough. Oh my God, what's really gotten me about this women's sports BS. First of all, super transphobic. Obviously, the whole thing is ridiculous. It is insane. Stop it. Stop pretending you care about anybody at any time. This is literally just your bigotry that will have real life consequences. Just like your anti-Asian bigotry, your anti-immigrant, your anti-Muslim, your everything, all of that is going to translate into more trans people being brutalized and killed. Already the most vilified and brutalized community in the United States. But if you really want to talk about women's sports, I can't get it out of my mind what's been going on with US women's gymnastics, something that I love. I love gymnastics, and yet in the last few years, ever since, the Larry Nassar has been put away in jail after how many dozens of young women came out to say that he sexually assaulted them. This week, one of his co-conspirators, who was a coach, committed suicide after he was charged with sexual assault and human trafficking. Hello, Q. Do you care?
I know.
Do you care about young women? Do you care about children? Do you care about women's sports? There's your issue. Oh, I'm sorry, is it too obvious? Is it too fact-based for you? Did you not read it on an 8chan Reddit thread? Come on, it is ridiculous. It is so disingenuous. And of course, nobody mentioned that. Why would you? It's not about that. It is about attacking the trans community.
100%. Yeah, I've never seen a group that says all we care about is this one thing that is less interested in any instance of that thing that's actually happening. They only care about protecting the children, and they don't give a damn about any of the pedophiles. Hypothetical pedophiles, hypophiles, very scared of them. Actual pedophiles, who cares? And it might seem like we're joking, but it is 100% true. Ghislaine Maxwell was grooming and handing off underage women to this predator.
Yeah.
The right doesn't care at all about it. That gymnastics story, that is a crazy amount of sexual assault happening in that. They don't care at all about it.
No.
Jim Jordan, no hard questions for Jim Jordan. Protected the kids so long as they're hypothetical. It's very much like their concern about family values so long as the family is sort of hypothetical and it's in the embryonic stage. Once it's actually born, they don't really care so much. They don't care about it at all, and it is shocking to me. And they're willing to attack the trans community along the way. Again, opportunistically, they don't care at all about women's sports. Anyway, really fast, because we haven't mentioned COVID. Let's go move into this last topic. I don't know if we actually had a thing prepped for it, so I apologize for that. But that actually works pretty well. In anticipation of CPAC, we had predicted that, like with CPAC last year, when you get a bunch of people with spotty at best mask policies, you're probably gonna end up having an outbreak. And we don't know yet. It's gonna take a little bit to know if an outbreak can be traced back to that. And it'll be hard to, since they're probably not keeping any records. But I can show you a little bit of video of one of the lines to shake a hand. A lot of people wanted to meet this one politician, and it is unfortunately Marjorie Greene. Take a look at this video.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so it's weird. She was saying there that Joe Biden is the president with a really forced smile on her face. It sounded like she was being asked a hard question, but she also seemed to be enjoying the talk with him. So maybe we can comment on that. But that is just a very long line of people walking right up to, shaking hands with, taking pictures with, and expelling germs onto the face of, and receiving germs in kind from the face of Marjorie Greene in the midst of a pandemic in Florida, which seems like madness to me.
She's gonna get it. If she doesn't already have it or isn't the super spreader, people are still dying, but it doesn't matter to them. It especially doesn't matter because the people who are most affected, again, Black and brown Americans, working Americans, essential workers who are not getting the respect they deserve once again. But yeah, the whole thing, there's other clips of the audience booing when asked to wear a mask.
Yep.
All the sci-fi writers, you miss this one. You miss this brilliance, this just zombie apocalypse. And I hope we're out of it, but man, if the next one hits in our lifetimes, we are still effed. We really are.
Yeah, no sci-fi writer was like, well, I'm gonna go take a walk on the moon. Shouldn't you put your helmet on? Propaganda. Yeah, for some reason we didn't predict that actually happening. But anyway, I want to look. You're attacking Marjorie Greene. I want to give credit to Marjorie Greene, not too much, because the credit is based on her willingness to expose herself to a deadly virus. but she'll get less credit than you might think because she's had it. She's 100% already had it.
Yeah.
So that sucks for her. But Trump would say it's not serious. He would mostly refuse to wear a mask and all of that stuff. But then he would give his speech from like way far away. He wasn't actually talking to these people close up and exposing himself to their germs. She is actually doing it. She is talking the talk and she is ingesting the walk, I guess. She's actually exposing herself to all of those germs. It's stupid. It's arguably kind of subtly suicidal, but she is, and that is perhaps further proof, she is a true believer in the things she says she believes. It might still be a con to some extent. She's raising money off of it and everything, but she is actually as dumb as she portrays herself to be on TV. She believes it's not real, it's not serious, and she is acting accordingly. Anyway, do you? Let me ask you this. Well, I'm gonna transition to reading a couple comments. Francesca, you tell me. You look at that C block. Do you want to skip it? You don't have to say what it is.
Okay.
We can skip it if you want to skip it, because we've been going on for this for a bit. So you let me know. Sean says, why have we yet to get stimulus if Biden cares so much about the workers? Francesca Fiorentini, first live show in a while. Steel Dragon. Thank you, Sean. Well, they're still working on the bill, and it's taking absolutely forever. And the amount that we're gonna get is not accommodating for the fact that it's taking additional months. It's a combination of there's legitimate reason to be very frustrated with it, and somewhere it was always gonna take this long, theoretically. I don't know, the whole thing is just so frustrating. I feel like it's never gonna happen. Let's see, Franklin Sharpslicer says, John and Fran, if any point can be made, you two can. Golden calf, they pray with Trump. All the right yahoos gather in clumps. The laser was on Facebook site on my page with delight. Do well. Thank you. That's good.
The laser?
I think that's a reference to the space laser.
Oh, right.
Daniel says, happy Monday, comrades. Can I get a shout out for my girlfriend, Fontana? Shout out to you, Fontana. Thank you for being here. Nate says, if I sent you a whiteboard and an easel, would you actually put the whiteboard up? Maybe, it depends on if it fits in the shot and everything.
Wait, what goes on it? Abolish the filibuster?
Well, that's a good idea too. No, I wanted to start to have a running list of all of the things that, so like, like Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin are like, sure, abolishing the filibuster, but like, we just like the tradition and we value the truth. So what does that actually mean in practice? Well, what it means in practice is that you are in favor of the Equality Act not actually passing, and in favor of the PRO Act not actually passing, and a minimum wage increase not actually passing. Let's start to actually show what they mean when they say that they value the filibuster. What does that actually mean to working Americans?
Yes,
I'd like to start to have a running list. Raja Harris says, I once gave KFC to a trash panda. It took it like a Disney animal.
They do. They have hands. They do they really do gingerly take it.
That's weird. Anyway, I want to see that. I wish you'd taken a video of that. Okay, let's see. Seth says, is that a hit list Trump is reciting? Hope I'm wrong. Well, right? I don't know. What happened the last time he had a long list of people in the media that you shouldn't trust? Did someone send pipe bombs to them? Yes, so I would be a little bit worried if I was on that list. Lawrence Wells says, hi, BTKB here. My brother just came out as trans last week. She has been waiting for the right moment to announce this. They've been many supportive messages. Happy birthday, Brett. That's awesome, Lawrence, and to Lawrence's sibling. Let's see. LB says, I can't help but feel McConnell's support of 45 last week may have been a deal to ensure the party doesn't split. Maybe. They did still attack McConnell during his speech, but yeah, that is certainly a possibility. Deirdre Dragon, welcome to tier 2 YouTube membership. Thank you for that. Mephisto became a tier 3 member and thus gains access to the monthly Q&As. Thank you to both of you. Let's see. Elizabeth says, I'm watching this delayed, so Francesca probably still isn't holding the cat, but holy moly, Francesca, you look like an amazing evil villain holding that cat. I feel like I need to bow down. Elizabeth, very nice. Okay, Jess freaking Ortega and Twitch says, rumor has it that him walking down the ramp so oddly was because his diaper was full. My grandfather found that out without knowing any of our diaper Don theories here. I about asked myself when he told me that. Wait, is that actually a theory? That cannot be a theory.
Wait. What did he do?
Do you remember when back in the day he walked down the ramp really oddly?
Oh yeah.
That's no.
No, I mean, he's scared of inclines, we know that. But also, yeah, if you lean forward too much, it sloshes forward.
Why?
I don't know.
And also how? Anyway, on Twitter, Jeremiah sent us stock footage of Franny when she holds her cat. It's Dr. Evil with the hairless cat. Nice. Let's see. Okay, Bo Staff and Brain subscribed for the 4th month. Thank you for that. Flash Gordon for the 3rd says TYT is part of my daily flow now. Thank you for that. Day Ranger for 6 months and says TYT Plus since at least 2015. Wow, that goes way back, Day Ranger. Thank you. Leanne15 gifted a tier 1 sub. Lilu Dragonfly gifted 1 as well. Thank you for that. Baltic Dragon gifted 4. Thank you to all of you for being great ambassadors for the channel. Regular Mole Rat Dragon subscribed for 3 months. Thank you. RJ Lady A for 7 months. Ellinger, hey Ellinger, subscribed for 9 months. That's just about as long as we've seen. So thank you to all of you. Francesca, are we skipping or are we moving on?
I think you can briefly mention it. It's interesting.
We'll briefly mention it. Okay. Is she not merciful? Okay. One of the big traditions at CPAC is the straw poll. So every year they vote there on who they want to be the Republican presidential nominee. Now, considering that this was a meeting of the Trump cult, you will not be surprised to find out that Trump won the straw poll in CPAC. But that's not all. While his approval rating was 97%, he was only the preferred nominee of 55% of respondents. So look, they love him, 97% approve of him. 95% want the Republican Party's agenda to be Trump's agenda, but just like half of that number actually say he'd be their pick. And only 68% want him to run at all. So there's some people who want him to run who aren't gonna vote for him. But isn't that interesting, Francesca? Like that group loves him more than they love life itself. And I can prove it, look at their mask policy. They actually, that's odd, 55%.
It's not, that's disloyal. I mean, 97% approval rating and only 55% of the attendees. These are the most diehard Republicans and diehard Trumpian Republicans who are risking their lives to go to CPAC in person in the middle of a pandemic to see Donald Trump, and only 55% of them want him to run again. Maybe he should run. Maybe he should lose again. But it is really interesting. Obviously, folks like Ted Cruz are licking their chops or their, sort of side whiskers and very excited.
Mutton chops.
Mutton chops, yes. They're excited for that. But I don't know. I think no one else actually can no one can coalesce the party the way Trump can. So it is interesting that 55% of them actually think that, or that, 45% of them think, no, we need someone else. Other people can. We like Trump, we like Trumpism, but it's time for somebody else. I'm not sure if there is someone waiting in the wings or not.
Well, we're gonna try to figure it out on our top 10 list later today. But so he won. He won and he got 55%, which is a win and it's a majority. And that's all good. I wonder though, like if you were to ask people there, did Trump win the 2020 election? What do we think? 95% would say that he won, that they believe the big lie?
Yeah, maybe 80, but yeah, it's sure 95. Why not?
Okay, well let's say 80. So 80% said that he won. They all say that they like him, but only 55% say that they actually prefer him. Is it possible that that might be a better way to get at, do you think he actually won? Because like a lot of them might say that they think he won, but they kind of know that he didn't, which might lead them to be worried about his chances of winning the next time.
Totally.
I don't know, I wonder if that might be what's going on.
A little bit of reality creeping in, just a little.
Maybe, yeah, not acknowledged reality. So look, other people that did well, there was like Ron DeSantis and Kristi Noem and Don Jr. got a couple points, I think. Interestingly though, despite the fact that he is seemingly okay with the fact that Trump tried to get him killed, and he's still loyal even after that attempt to get him killed, Mike Pence was backed by only 1% of the straw poll respondents. Damn. You've been loyal for 4 years? Do you wanna know what you get for it? Nothing, that's what you get. You get 1%. And that might have been Mike Pence. He might have been the 1% that signed it, I don't know.
That's the big fly lobby right there.
God, I forgot about that. But anyway, I wanted to give you one other bit of information because I found this to be pretty surprising. CPAC straw polls have not proved particularly predictive of future presidential nominees. Rand Paul won 3 in a row in the run up to 2016, which seems crazy now, like with hindsight.
Why didn't you lead with this?
That is hilarious. Let's see, which he quit after a poor showing in one contest. That's pretty funny. Mitt Romney won 4, 2007, 2008, 2009, 2012, but is now a figure whose name drew boos as one of his fiercest critics. Man, and like Mitt Romney, his whole thing was, I'm more of a moderate, I'm a business friendly, but like kind of moderate. And he consistently would win these straw polls. Now that doesn't mean, like the winner of the straw poll doesn't necessarily mean this is what CPAC is like. I mean, Rand Paul won. But like, it really does give you an idea of how much the party has changed in that like 14 or so years. That they can go from consistently being like Mitt Romney's our guy to give us the most vile troll you can and we'll support it. Anyway, you wanna switch things up and talk about something totally different?
Let's do it.
Let's do it, okay. Governor Cuomo is under a lot of pressure. How much pressure? Well, he's sort of apologizing for the now multiple individual harassment scandal that he's facing. On Sunday, he offered his most detailed response yet to allegations that he sexually harassed 2 staffers, saying in a statement that his comments were intended to be, quote, good-natured, and that he was sorry these interactions had been, quote, misinterpreted as an unwanted flirtation. Cuomo, facing increasing criticism of his fumbled attempts to hand the issue off to an independent investigator, admitted Sunday evening that he likes to tease people in the office. And he says specifically, I now understand that my interactions may have been insensitive or too personal, and that some of my comments, given my position, made others feel in ways I never intended. I acknowledge some of the things I have said have been misinterpreted as an unwanted flirtation. To the extent anyone felt that way, I am truly sorry about that. Francesca, what do you think about this most recent iteration of his trying to handle the situation?
I mean, quick follow-up, buddy. When you showed the cigar box that President Bill Clinton gifted you to one of the women, what did you mean? What was that? How should she have interpreted that? Other than you're a disgusting pig. And you knew exactly what you were doing. This is the most sorry, not sorry, like, hey, sometimes I'm Italian, so I can do this. But like, it's not my fault you think that I wanna sleep with you. That's all in your head. I cannot help that I give off big Italian zaddy vibes, okay? These women, they get it in their head that I'm flirting. Like literally, that's the statement. It is oh God, sometimes these ladies, they can't keep their hands off you and they think that you're flirting when you totally are, when you ask them if they've been with an older man repeatedly and then probably just stare at them and like look them up and down.
Wait, did that actually happen?
He asked, this was this staffer from last year, height of the COVID crisis, right? He's going on every day being lauded by the media. And she said that he asked her, if she had ever been with an older man, why not? When's the last time she hugged someone? No, I mean really hug someone.
Nope, no, Francesca, I don't buy it. Those are edge cases. They exist in the gray zone. There are all of these things that you like to pretend you're God. You can read people's minds. There are things that are just like, good-natured people can disagree about what it means. When a guy repeatedly tells a female reporter, I want to see you eat the whole sausage. I don't know what that means. You don't know what that means. When he says we should play strip poker, that could mean like 10 different things. And you pretend that you know what it means. When I put my hands on, hypothetically, your legs, you think you know what that means? You don't know the half of what that means.
When anyway, I kiss you on the mouth, that's just something we do. Are you anti-Italian now? You didn't ask for it. It was like kissing my nonna. Like, come on, buddy. No.
Yeah, look, he's apologizing, but oh God, look, getting any apology out of a politician is rare. Now, it's a Democrat, so it's not as rare as with a Republican, but it's still pretty rare, especially when it comes to sexual harassment. But this is like, if I had to file this in the sort of apology it is y'all made mistakes. I didn't do anything wrong. I might kind of be sorry that we've landed in this position that we created, but I didn't do anything. You misinterpreted, and that is fundamentally not really an apology. That's not. I said things that I shouldn't have said. There's no right situation to tell a woman to eat an entire sausage. Like, that's the beginning of an apology. That's not even the extent of one.
There might be a situation where you could say, eat the whole sausage if you're like sharing it and you're like, no, here, you eat the whole sausage.
I say it multiple times.
Yeah. The point is that he did the classic bad sorry. You know, we've all done the bad sorry. We're not all sexual predators, but we've all done the bad sorry, which is, I'm sorry you felt hurt by what I said. But what I said wasn't actually hurtful or bad, or what I did wasn't hurtful or bad. But like in your little brain, it was. Like, we've all done that BS sorry. Check yourself when you do the BS sorry. Because he needs just an out and out sorry. And this comes off on the back of the fact that he's been a bully in politics. And when a male staffer said that he was a bully in politics, and then now everyone else is saying, yeah, he is a bully in politics, and not only that, but a sexual bully. And man, John, I will bet money, I am so sure that there will be more stories about Governor Cuomo in this. Like, I've never been more sure of anything in my life. That these aren't the only cases and instances of him being a sexual predator and a creep and absolutely a harasser.
Yeah, and why? Because first of all, everything about his persona, look, way of speaking, everything, and I'm Italian, I can say this too. We give off vibes like this. That's kind of a thing that we do. But also, for a very long time, powerful men in politics, media, corporations, both felt like they could and felt like they should transition the power they have into either an actual sexual situation or at least fun, flirty situations. They felt they could do that. And often, because of how much power they had, they could force that to actually happen. And they can't. And they have to be taught that they can't. And he's been around for a billion years, so he is very reluctantly learning that lesson. That's all this is. It's the same situation as we've seen with many other people. It shouldn't be this difficult to understand, but just because you're in a position of power doesn't mean you get to like try to use that power to have sex with everyone, or at least joke about having sex with them. It's really that simple. This sort of apology implies that you can't get that.
The other thing I think is important to mention is that, and I'm reading this on Fox News from a while ago, so we have to double check it, of course, but that reportedly his campaign received donations from the law firm that was helping Harvey Weinstein. So the corruption, the cover-ups, him sort of not taking sexual assault and harassers seriously, there's a long history of this, and including into his own behavior. So it all squares, it makes sense. And I think we're done. We're done with, and this is not about like Republicans too. I mean, this is the playbook he's using, obviously, is what Republicans do, which is never apologize, right? Because once you apologize insincere, you then have to take responsibility and potentially step down and lose your seat. And so he's taking a page out of their book, right? That being said, he needs to apologize better, and there needs to be a full investigation. And yeah, maybe he does need to step down.
Yeah, it's amazing though how fast he went from planning his White House run to, am I still gonna be governor soon? And we'll see. Yeah, there's a lot more that we could say on this, but we do wanna get to this last topic before we close things out. So let's move on to this. At the close of last week, the parliamentarian in the Senate decided to rule or advise that the minimum wage increase could not be a part of the COVID bill. And the Democrats in charge apparently decided that despite the fact that that is just advice and they could totally overrule it, they're gonna go along with that. But at least after that decision, Senate Finance Chair Ron Wyden and Senate Budget Chair Bernie Sanders said that they would instead seek to add tax penalties on large corporations that fail to pay $15 an hour, an idea viewed as less likely to be struck down by the parliamentarian and still helpful to some minimum wage workers. So the idea is, okay, we're not gonna actually raise your wages, but we're gonna do something that like maybe could result in your wages being increased. So there's a plan B. And a couple days later, now senior Democrats, including Wyden and Sanders, are walking away from that backup effort, according to people who spoke on the condition of anonymity to share internal discussions. They were expecting to face an uphill battle in persuading the entire Senate Democratic caucus to support a proposal that they would only have days to draft. The White House has not indicated support for the corporate tax penalty idea. And so, is there anything? I don't know, is there anything? Why all of a sudden does every little inclination or thought that the parliamentarian has have to become national news? Did that happen during the Republican years where they were just constantly being stymied by the Senate parliamentarian? I don't remember that actually. But anyway, we've gone from raising minimum wage to maybe kind of backdoor raising minimum wage, maybe somehow, to, I don't know, maybe something someday? I don't know. I honestly don't know.
It's incredibly disappointing. It is horribly frustrating that Democrats cannot overrule and will not overrule the parliamentarian on this one and say, no, we're gonna put the $15 minimum wage raise into the stimulus, into this disaster relief. It is disaster relief, it is stimulus. It will do a whole hell of a lot. And before you even can whine about it, it will actually help your constituency, and it will help working people. So I'm at a loss. I don't think that the issue is dead, of course. Obviously, in order to then pass the $15 minimum wage, in an otherwise terms, you'll need to abolish a filibuster because you're not gonna get 60 votes on raising the minimum wage because Republicans want people to die in squalor, as does Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin. But it's ridiculous that Kamala Harris, that the vice president, will not flex on this one, will not override the parliamentarian like so many Republicans have done in order to pass giant tax breaks, $1.9 trillion tax breaks to the most wealthy of the United States. So what are we doing here if not this? What are we doing if not pushing this forward? I'm completely at a loss. I don't understand why Democrats can't control the narrative on this. And again, if we're looking at 2022, you don't have much time, y'all. You guys don't have much time to prove that you're worth it, that you're different, that you have ideas.
Okay, you have $100 to bet now on who's gonna win in 2022. How does this change your betting decision?
It changes it a lot because I think that you have a mobilized Democratic base that came out for you, that flipped a southern state blue, right? That flipped Georgia blue for you, for $2,000, for a $15 minimum wage. You've got a mobilized, excited base, and you're gonna squander that by not taking these bold steps, by not helping people out. You're gonna see lower voter turnout, and specifically among Black and brown Americans, among working class Americans, among people who've traditionally and consistently been left out of the political process because they don't have any more reason to believe that any politician is working for them at all.
You're 100% right. Based on the first month, I mean, look, we gave Biden credit for literally everything that we could, and you were on a lot of those, Francesca.
Yeah.
You know we did it.
I will. Yes, we just did in this hour. We did when we're talking about labor.
But what we also said, those things are perfectly good, but they're also the easiest things to do. Some things will be harder, and that is what people are going to influence their political decisions based on. And we are now seeing what that looks like in practice. If this is a sign of how Democrats will approach the use of their power over the next 2 years, they will lose. And I think a very good case could be made that they 100% deserve to lose. And unfortunately, like we were talking about on the show on Friday, in this particular case, maybe he's got some sort of master plan that I don't know about. I don't know. We don't talk on the phone. Bernie Sanders is largely going along with this. Like he's the budget committee chairman. If it's not in the bill, it's because he took it out. He could put this amendment in. If he doesn't, it's because he chooses not to. Now, maybe he's got some other plan, but I don't know what the plan is. And again, he ain't my granddad. He's one of my favorite politicians, but that's about as far as it goes. He still has to make the right decision. So on Friday, Cenk started the hashtag Don't Kill It Bernie to not pull the minimum wage increase out. They could still override the parliamentarian, and there are a lot of Democrats pushing them to do that. A group of nearly 24 House Democrats sent a letter on Monday calling on Kamala Harris to override the parliamentarian. There was Congressman Khanna, as well as all the people you'd expect, putting out a statement saying that if they don't overrule it, they're condoning poverty wages for millions of Americans, and that's 100% true. I wish we had more time to focus on that statement because it's a great letter, but they could still override this. And if they don't, and if they can't do this, that is so incredibly both appropriate to a COVID aid package, incredibly popular, incredibly what you've been promising that got people to vote for you. If they can't do that and they're not gonna overturn the filibuster, then let's just pack it in. Let's do movie reviews for the next couple of years because ain't nothing gonna happen. Honestly, what is going to happen? Maybe some more executive orders, a few more. Maybe
they're
a
definitely
speech or
not.
something.
They're not going to abolish the filibuster, right? Like they're not going to, try and get on that train. I know it's like even to abolish the filibuster, I think you need 60 votes. So you don't need 60 votes.
The Senate rules governing the use of the filibuster that's established by the party and the majority. You can do that with just a majority vote.
51 votes.
Again, it isn't in the Constitution. It isn't a law. It is just sort of the rules of operation of the Senate. And those rules are changed. Virtually every new Senate changes those rules. This is one that you could change.
Well, there you go, John. There you go. I mean, look, if they're not putting $15 minimum wage into this stimulus and they're not abolishing the filibuster, so if they don't do this and they pass it, okay. But if they then let's go to the filibuster. You willing to do the filibuster? My guess is no. But if you are, then I will continue to have faith. We could still get some stuff done. If not, let's do them movie reviews, man, and like get this AOC 2024 campaign started because that's sort of where we're at right now. Sure. Kamala would not deserve to be the next president at all.
No, definitely. Look, we said, by the way, she definitely wants to run for president, then make the case. And you've got a great platform from which to do that. If she were to overrule the parliamentarian, well, now she's got my curiosity or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's been a while since I saw that movie. But it would be a good sign. Now give me 4 years of her doing that, and maybe she could actually earn some progressive votes.
Yes.
But if she is no better than Biden on these things, if she's no better than Joe Manchin on these things, then what's the point? What's the point of any of that? Anyway, we're gonna have to fill a lot of time. I don't think the movie review segment's gonna do all of it. I don't know. Like, do you want to play Dungeons and Dragons or something? We could stream it. Let's do that. Anyway, there's more that I wish we could have gotten to, but we covered a lot. There will be a lot this week, so definitely stay tuned. We're going to go film our weekly top 10 list, the top 10 non-Trump most likely 2024 Republican presidential nominees. And for those who might not be able to see that, Francesca, what should they go watch in the meantime, and where should they watch it?
Oh, yes, you should watch the Bitchuation Room podcast at Franny Fio, my YouTube channel, or listen wherever you get your podcasts. And yeah, thanks so much for doing that. We had a great show last night with Baron Vaughn, comedian, and Alex Vitale, a professor, talking all about policing and the end of it.
Oh, divisive. Anyway.
Divisive.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, thank you everybody for watching. We've got a lot more coming up. I'm gonna be talking with Chuck Rocha actually a little bit later on, so that's gonna be fun. We're gonna talk about what happened in Texas and some of the political implications of that. Tomorrow we will be talking with Congressman Ro Khanna. And you know what? We're supposed to talk about the future of American involvement in the war with Yemen, but maybe we talk about this a little bit too. Maybe we talk about the minimum wage and about how they're gonna pressure the Democrats to do the right thing. So we're gonna see what we can do there. And until next time, stay safe out there, stay sane out there. We'll see you soon.